So why do generations matter in the workplace? Well, it's very important because like many misunderstandings or many disagreements in the workplace, I find that most of these come from just not understanding where the other person is coming from. Some differences that play themselves out in terms of generations is you see a spectrum of individuality, autonomy, reliance on our own skills versus loyalty to the company, different forms of feedback that are desired throughout the generations. And these are just a few of the clash points where somebody's generation is influencing their behavior. It's all they know. And it's conflicting with somebody else whose generation is influencing their behavior, and that's all that they know. Some specific examples in the workplace. For example, in terms of feedback. If you're a traditionalist, you grew up in an era where no news was good news. It was command structure, so if you didn't hear from your boss, that probably meant you were doing a good job. When you transition into baby boomers, because there were so many of them, 80 million, there was a lot of competition. And to meter that competition and to make them feel better, they developed what is called the performance review. And this performance review was an annual review that entailed a large amount of documentation and was very systemized in the way it awarded promotion. So once a year you would sit down with your boss, you would have all your documentation in order, and you would find out how and when you were being promoted, or if you were being let go perhaps. Now you move into Generation X, where you have a very individual spirit. Not only were they latchkey kids, and they were at home and developed this individualism, they saw their parents working long hours and then being unceremoniously dumped when the economy contracted. This forged into them a lack of loyalty and trust for any one organization that we had seen in the previous generations of both baby boomers and traditionalists. Gen Xers trust their skill set, and they trust the market that they compete in for job security. It's not one company that I'll be with, it's what can I do for any company that provides me security and value in the marketplace. If you take it one step further and you look at millennials entering the workplace, which as we've talked about in a previous segment, it's important for us to understand where millennials are coming from because they're going to be filling spots in your agency or your company, be it private or public, in the short term. Millennials have a very different take on things. They focus on collaboration versus individual accomplishment. They're much more tech savvy, and they're much more interested in a well-rounded life and looking at the planet as a whole in general. And what I mean by that is they're very interested in socializing. They like an environment where they can talk and quote-unquote hang out with their friends at work. They enjoy merging life outside of work with work and having it all be part of the same thing. Now, if you're a traditionalist and a baby boomer or a Gen Xer even, you may be cringing at this notion, but take this into consideration. Part of work being life is that you can work and you can play and you can work while you're playing. And instead of an 8 to 5 day, a lot of millennials are willing to expand that work day beyond the traditional limits.